Hello and welcome to the first war mode guide on the channel, ignoring that beta one. I thought I should take a pause before talking about any camos or any more challenge guides so that I can have a chance to actually earn them myself and be able to speak from experience. So for now, I wanted to do a few of these things where I do lots of testing, recommend some classes, and give some actual not obvious information for each stage of the war maps. I was going to do one video per map, but realized I had a lot to say, and I often make the mistake of packing way too much into one video. I may even still be doing that, but it would be insane to have a video for every stage of the map and have 6 videos per map, so I'm splitting things up into attacking and defending, and timestamps will be in the description for the major phases of the map. This video will be taking a look at the attacking round of Operation Neptune, the D-Day one, my personal favorite map, and I think the most popular one overall, but I know not everyone likes it. I'm pretty passionate about the war mode in general. It has never been more fun and more rewarding to play the objective and play as a team to win, and when you play the objective, war is great for XP, great for tons of challenges, and it's just a good time. I'm sure not everyone loves it like I do. Maybe your favorite thing to do is earn score streaks, of which there are none in this mode aside from free flamethrowers, because that might encourage people to farm kills and stay alive. They even removed the KD stat from this mode, as I'm sure you know. War is all about team composition strategy and throwing yourself at that objective for the good of your team. So let's start off at the beginning, storming the beach. There are 2 main roles you can play for your team. I think off the start, it's good for all 6 people to be rushing the bunkers with that big wave of bots that spawn in. As the bots start to thin out though, if you haven't captured a bunker yet, I think it's nice to have 1 or 2 people switch to snipers and start dealing some damage to the people in the bunkers while everyone else keeps pushing up. If you're going to be a sniper, just make sure there aren't too many people already sniping, but if everyone else is doing a good job rushing, you could run a class like this. Typically, I'll only recommend weapon categories, not a specific weapon, but especially when dealing with the B-side bunker, the more protected one, I had the most luck by far taking people out with the carabine, which you might find odd, but even the most powerful bolt-action rifles like the Springfield here often get hit markers through the armor of the mounted gun. Even when I was using FMJ, that didn't seem to help much, if at all. It is possible to get a headshot one-shot kill when lined up perfectly, but hit markers are still very common. With the carabine, the center speed is actually very quick, so if you're on target, you can fire off the 2 or 3 shots required to kill very quickly. A quick tip to make sure you're actually on target: don't just shoot randomly at the mounted gun armor hoping to get a kill. The only time I actually hit something is when I carefully position in the gap such that the red name shows up, then fire. The Mountain Division's sharpshooter ability is great for that. Then a couple of quick shots with the carabine usually does it. Just listen to these unsatisfied customers.
What the heck? Wow, dude. Oh my freaking.
Securing the bunker!
That, to me, sounds like somebody who is used to getting hurt by a bolt-action sniper shot and given time to heal up and reposition to a different gun. If you want to be providing sniper cover for the A bunker, you could be battling other snipers and may want a bolt-action rifle back. Weapon choice is up to you in the end, but I've shown you what I know, except for a godly line of sight that you should try out that I'll get to in just a moment. For basic training, you could opt for primed to reduce flinch, but I went with undercover because after doing some testing, thank you Patrick for helping out once again, I can confirm it does actually hide your red name when targeted, despite the description only mentioning crosshair color. However, it gets completely countered by the sniper sharpshooter ability, so you won't have any luck hiding from the enemy snipers in the A bunker. To quickly show some defending gameplay, this is what any sniper sharpshooter sees on that side. They see right through all the bots and will go straight to those red names. However, hiding your red name should still help against the people on the mounted guns who may only be scanning for red names among the bots, and also anybody who may be sniping without holding their breath using the Mountain Division. Finally, no lethal can really help from this far away, so smoke can be a fun distraction, or it may help you get to the best line of sight known to mankind. Maybe I'm hyping it up too much, but I feel like this is the best thing I've ever discovered. I hope it wasn't already posted to Reddit somewhere. If you want to provide sniper cover for taking B, if you can make it up to the piece of cover on the right side that I'm going to show, and that should be possible, they provide lots of cover you can dive between. Just look at that angle through that tiny hole. With no red name and being completely hidden from the A bunker, so far nobody has ever found me there, which I find odd. Sniper bullets kind of leave a trail in this game, but hopefully you can put that spot to good use. I have no idea if it was even intentional or not. Maybe they'll patch it one day. Not only are you super hidden, but you're very close too. You can see their faces behind the mounted guns when they turn them around. It's hard to hit the guy on the right unless he looks in your direction, but you can wait for that to happen and get the quick clean headshot. With this FMJ MJ Lee Enfield gameplay, I was getting some headshots because the people were so close, but still a lot of hit markers too. With the Carabine here, you can see just how easy it is to deny those gunners as soon as they hop on. You even get the recoil reduction for being prone. That seems to cut the recoil in half or maybe even more. I also tried going there with something like a bipod LMG, but no, a sniper is your best bet. Now if you also happen to find that spot and are mad at me for showing it to everyone because oh now it's ruined, don't even start with that. First of all, I did not show it to everyone. The amount of views this video will get will never come close to the massive casual Call of Duty player base, and I can share tips I find if I want to. Anyway, you may have noticed we didn't do too well in a couple of those games where I was sniping to get clips for this video, which is why I typically don't take on a sniping role in public matches without a team. I prefer rushing up to take the bunkers because it seems like that doesn't always happen without help. Depends on your team, but let's move to that strategy. Looking over a class you might want, I do like the Airborne Division, hopefully level 2 for the extra sprint distance, and level 4 is even better for the additional speed. You can choose any weapon that you run quickly with and are comfortable using in close quarters. Trainings like Primed, Scoped, and Hustle are always good for combat. Instincts might be good to spot enemy bouncing Bettys if they're smart enough to place them down in the bunker doors. Energetic might be a good perk if you don't have a leveled up Airborne Division, but I took Undercover once again to help blend in with the bots just a little bit better. If you're very serious about blending in, you may even want to remove all your customizable clothing and walk in a straight line towards the objective using no cover. Alright, here we go. Full bot mode. This is going pretty well. This is going really well. I guarantee this is real. It's an online game. Yeah, that just worked. I was supposed to get shot immediately. Then I could cut back to a joke where I said, yeah, I was kidding, don't do that. But it just worked. Yeah, I kind of ruined the joke. I don't know what to say here then. I would think that a lot of people like mowing down the bots too, so that isn't going to work very well. It is a joke strategy, let's be clear. However, that part about removing your bright white beta helmet or bright yellow clothing could actually help. Now in terms of actual strategy, when you get on the beach, you might want to wait a second for the bots to draw some fire. Any experienced player will know that all the real players spawn behind this big jagged sheet of metal and will be aimed right at you. Usually one bot does pass by here though, and I run right after him. You want to try to focus on capturing one bunker as quickly as possible, which for me is almost always B because I find it much easier to approach. If you have a good sniper team to cover you though, which I rarely do, A might be the easier one, but if you have a sniper use that epic spot near B and people still don't know about that thing, just go B every time. The enemies in B are much more protected, but their vision is also much more restricted, making it easier to safely dash over to the fence and then to the ladder, or try the approach through the middle of the map if they didn't build their walls. I said the team should only focus on one bunker because after about 2 minutes have passed of the total 6 minutes you have to take the bunkers, the bots that helped you push up will pretty much all be gone, and if you haven't captured any bunker yet, moving up will become much harder if the enemy team is at all competent, because you'll still be spawning back in the water. Having snipers on your team at that point becomes more important to disrupt their defenses. If you captured one bunker though, your spawns shift closer to the bunker you captured, and it becomes much easier to swarm the enemies in the remaining bunker. So hopefully you were able to sweep in and take out those gunners, and were then able to secure one bunker. The other one should fall soon after. One final note, the flamethrower drop. In this stage the attackers get one, in the next stage the defenders get one, but you know how sometimes you get the share package medal when someone on your team picks up the flamethrower, and maybe you think, well, how did the game determine that was my drop? Well, I believe it isn't random. The drop gets called in not at a certain time in the match, but when you reach a certain point, and on this map, that is when you destroy the first barricade. As you can see, every time that I destroy a barricade, no matter how much time is left on the clock, the drop comes in just a few seconds later. If you never break through, the drop never comes. They're not just going to drop it to the enemy team, obviously. So that should give a little insight into that system. I believe whoever is first to plant the charge and destroy one of those barricades is the person who will earn that flamethrower. Anybody can pick it up, of course, but the bomber should get the share package medal. Not 100% sure about that part, the who gets the medal. I didn't test it with a group of people, but it didn't seem like a big deal, so that's my theory. The person who triggers the drop owns it. Well, I've spent long enough on the beach, we should move on to destroying the comms equipment, which might be the toughest part to push through. Remember not to push up right away if you just got finished capturing a bunker, because the defending team automatically calls in an artillery barrage on the location seen here. That's meant to allow them to retreat and build up their defenses. You may have been killed by this a couple times and know what I'm talking talking about, well, it isn't random death, like I was wondering what was happening the first 2 times that killed me, but it happens every time, just wait for it to stop before moving. I think what you'll be most interested in for this stage is the ideal weapon choice. I tested tons of weapons and explosives to see what was most effective at destroying these things efficiently. I'll show some of that on screen, but I don't think it'll be helpful to list off a ton of numbers and say, oh, this LMG was 0.2 seconds faster than this one. That isn't really helpful. Instead, I'll give you my recommendation and why, taking into account the situation. If you want to be going after the comms, I think you should use Airborne again for the suppressed SMG, preferably with extended mags, and Hustle for quick reloading. I did try FMJ with several weapons because I thought that might help, but it appears to do nothing. You'll be up close to the comms when you take them out, so the SMG time to destroy is perfectly fine, but above all, that suppressor is incredibly valuable because without it, you'll get targeted very quickly. I can't stress how much it helps you avoid detection and do more damage before dying. You can see here I take one out from the upper level and sneak around to get the other one, when it turns out there was a guy up here all along. I don't think this would have gone that well without a suppressor. I will mention the damage dealt by some other relevant things. I really thought the satchel charges would be effective, but they took 5 explosions to take 1 out. That's not very efficient since you usually only have 1 on you. Frags were the exact same, it took 5, and they're much easier to throw, so I would go with those. As long as you're hitting 2 or more machines with that explosion, that's some decent damage. Speaking of decent damage, the launchers are actually quite effective. Both launchers have the ability to 2-shot a machine from full.
That's a lot of damage!
However, that's the direct impact damage. If you're shooting between 2 machines, it'll take 3 rockets, or something like 2 rockets and a grenade. Unfortunately, you can't equip Hustle and a launcher at the same time, so you'll probably get killed before you can reload and fire again if you're not in a pretty safe spot. An extended mags LMG would be not bad because of the massive ammo supply, but they're so unwieldy in these close quarters that you'd need a really good team to essentially escort you in there to do some serious work with an LMG. ARs are fine, of course, but it's such a small room you may as well use the SMG for the mobility and suppressor. I'll mention the flamethrower in case you grabbed that one from the trenches in the first stage and held onto it. It's good, but not great. You can destroy about 2 machines with the available fuel reasonably quickly, but I think that would be better spent keeping enemies out of the room for your team to do damage. Finally, one last weapon mention. This one was pretty funny. In testing, one of the fastest ways I found to kill one machine from full was with Akimbo extended mags machine pistols. Both of them together will completely take down a machine. However, you'd have to spend your basic training on that, then get very close to not miss, and you're usually looking for sustained damage on multiple machines, not just how fast can I take out one and then get killed. So I would always still opt for the stealthy extended mags Hustle SMG, but you could swap out Hustle and throw the pistols on there for some fun. So I think that's about all the relevant information for getting in there and taking down the machines. There is one more class setup I'll recommend though. Shotguns are very strong in and around the doors and in that tiny building in general. One of the few areas of the game where using a shotgun really feels like a big advantage. Just blasting that thing off through a tiny square window in the buildable walls is very effective, so I've named this as a support class. You can help by clearing out more enemies, allowing your team to do the damage. I have Armored on to be soaking up extra explosive and fire damage. They should have a flamethrower at this stage, and I'd like to live long enough to maybe win that duel even if I die right after. I also threw a launcher on there plus the frag to do damage to the machines yourself if you have the opportunity. If the launcher is too unwieldy for you, you could go with Concussed to just have 2 frag grenades instead. I have no idea why Concussed is the one that gives you 2 frags while Bang gives you 2 tacticals, especially looking at the images for those 2. But okay, you should know that shotguns are not very effective for taking out the machines. Even an extended mags toggle action needs to be reloaded in the middle to take one out, and the trench gun is not any better. So this is more of an anti-personnel class with some explosives to help with the machines. If not enough of your team is damaging the machines, you should probably switch back to focusing on that. In terms of any other gameplay tips, it'll vary a lot depending on what team you're facing. I usually find it easier to start by flanking around the left side than attacking head-on. Remember that with any destructible barricade like this, you can shoot the charge you plant to make it blow up right away. That can help you push up faster and catch enemies by surprise. That guy seems to have just been waiting around. Let's go! It's even better with 2 people. Here's a great example of pairing up with a teammate to take out a wall without any ticking noise or waiting around, and that seems to catch them off guard. Also remember that you don't have to plant the bomb on all these walls. There are other explosives that will work as well, such as 2 shots from a launcher. That's where the support class could come back in handy. And finally, with the barbed wire barricades, it's hilarious to me how many people don't know this because you might not think to try, but you can just walk through them. As both an attacker and defender, they only slow you down. That's why they're so quick to build. They aren't as good as a wall. So on the left side flank here, if you can take out the 1 or 2 people usually guarding it, then you can get into this top floor, and the ladder holes allow you to take out 2 machines easily, as you saw in that clip earlier, so that's not a bad idea. And you can toss some grenades down there and just drop down to see what damage you can do. If you do have a longer range weapon, there's 1 machine that can easily be taken out from outside, as shown. That's always a good thing to do. And if you're running that support type class, you can always try blasting people through those front windows, breaking it down, and charging in through one of those 2 front entrances. I really can't tell you how to play the game though, you'll be fighting a different team every time. You just have to adapt to where they're playing and what weapons they're using. Do they have some shotgun guys running around in there? Maybe try using more explosives to do the damage, or try to beat them in a shotgun duel. Do they have a sniper camping on the top floor? Maybe use the left flank more. Finally, if the time is about to run out and you're in that last chance mode, just try to stay alive inside the building. Everyone rush to get inside constantly. You don't even have to be actively damaging the machines to reset that timer. If you're in the room where the machines are, the time will never run out. Well, I think it runs out after a couple solid minutes of being stuck like that, but that'll never happen. Anyway, I think the classes I've gone through should help you approach that objective. Finally, we get to taking out the artillery guns, and thankfully, looking at the video length, who is still watching this thing, my god, I don't have anywhere near as much to say about this part of the map that you probably haven't already thought of, or is just obvious. You have to plant bombs at each gun 3 times, and this part basically plays like a demolition game that I think favors the attackers, because the bomb plant is fairly quick, and it only takes 15 seconds to explode, meaning you only have to hold off a couple people, and that's probably enough to prevent any defuse from happening. A very wide range of playstyles can be helpful for this stage of the map. You could have a longer range weapon to provide support, although I really don't think that's the most helpful thing you could do. This tower lets you overlook A. I've never used it for anything, you really can't see much, you can't help very much. Very boring, no reason to use it really. You could also run up to this window and have a much better view of the middle and B. Having someone here could be a good thing. Other than that, there are a few wire barricades around here, 1 down in the trench, 2 on the other side, but you can just go around them by hopping over or cutting through the middle, and of course you can just walk through them too. It's rare that the enemy team has bothered to build all of them up. It may be worth destroying them though, since they're unlikely to be rebuilt. Throwing grenades into the artillery rooms is pretty effective, and your close-range shotguns and SMGs are very good here once again. Here's an example of a class I might use. I thought about going with an armored division SMG for the flak jacket protection, as getting naded out of those rooms is very common, but if you have it unlocked, just go for the hunker basic training for that flak jacket effect, then you can still have airborne for the stealth, speed, and surprise. People know what that's from, right? It's only been a couple years. I put a smoke on there to help with planting the bomb, but that could easily be swapped out for a frag to toss in there, or to get creative, maybe a satchel charge to throw on the bomb you plant and kill a diffuser that way. Like I said, wide range of possibilities will work for this part of the map. When I show these classes, I never expect that you're copying them down exactly as they are. I'm just using them to illustrate the ideas I want to get across. You'll probably be using whatever you have unlocked, or whatever you're trying to earn the camos and challenges for, so use whatever you want, really. Just play the objective and help the team. That should finally wrap up this guide for the attacking round of Operation Neptune. It's impossible for me to have mentioned everything. If you've got some pro tips you want to share, you can leave a comment. The defending guide should be next. Not sure how long that'll take to make, but I have to say, it's incredible that you sat through that approaching 20 minutes of me going on about these tips and breakdowns. I hope it has made you into a better war mode team player. That's what I want to do with these things, improve our collective war mode skill, so that if we're ever partying up for some war mode, we will destroy the competition. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.